White Rose. So is this where Cliff does his thing out of here too?
Sometime. Okay, we're live now.
Oh.
Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Sharif and Patah Shakur with the Hour of Power. We have a very powerful show lined up with very powerful guests. They'll be coming in, just running a little behind, but we'll go on and get started. I'll start out with my universal prayer and nugget of truth, and Brother Patah give a few announcements, and we'll start right out with this much anticipated interview. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I lived to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Neter, oracle scriptures and writings that came on the continent of Africa thousands of years before any organized religion. We thank God for Moses and the Torah, Jesus and the Gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. I greet everyone in words of peace. To my Hebrew Israelite and Jewish family, Shalom. To my Christian family, praise the Lord. To my Muslim family, Assalamu alaikum. To my Hebrew Israel, to my Native American family, Halito, and to my people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. So here we are with another edition of the Hour of Power. We start out the show sometimes with a nugget of truth. I had posted this on my page, but I think it's worth repeating. Once there was a man drowning, and a Jewish man went up to him and offered a stick, but the stick wasn't long enough to save him. Then a Christian man came up to him and offered him a stick, but come around this way. But his stick wasn't long enough either. Then finally, a Muslim man went up to him and offered a stick, but his stick wasn't long enough either. The moral of the story is, if we all work together, we can accomplish so much more. And if they would have worked together, they would have been able to save the man. In our society, and our people are drowning and we're not working together. So that's the moral of the story. If all these different faiths come together and put their resources together, we can be much more effective with saving the people. So that's this week's nugget of truth. See if Patah is coming in. I think he's letting one of our other guests here. We have introduce yourself. Not do you need any introduction, my brother?
Michael Muldrow. I am the commissioner currently the commissioner with the York City Police Department, formerly the chief of the York City School Police, and longtime advocate for my community and young people.
Okay. My brother.
My name is David Overton. I am the pastor of Believe Outreach and Ministries, as well as the founder of I Believe in You, consultant. Been working with youth, been working with community, been working with faith-based communities, juvenile centers, and so forth. At the end of the day, I want to see our communities do better, and my main focus is young black males.
Okay, all righty. So I wanted to have a roundtable discussion about a serious issue in our community and nationwide, really, is gun violence, and the main thing is solutions. Because we all know what the problem is and see the problem, but, what's the solution, to all this? I don't want this to just keep going on and on. I know some efforts have been made, but just to clarify some things, me and Commissioner Muldrow was briefly talking before the show started. What's the current, I don't know what you want to call it, statistics or progress, so to speak, with gun violence? I know it seems like it's picking up more. When I pick up the York Dispatch or it comes online, it seems like it's always something, but you know, seeing that isn't always give us a clear picture of what actually is, and who know better than you. So where are we at with gun violence, especially with our youth?
As we have this conversation, and even when my colleague gets here, the tone that we'll take, even coming off of today, we're never going to be satisfied. We're never going to be satisfied with where we're at, but in the same breath, like I was telling you when we were talking outside, in the same breath, I'm respectful of this community and how this community, York City, has received the message. Thankfully, with God's help, we've been near an 80% reduction for the last 3 years in York. It was when I first started in this role 5 years ago, we were shooting every day. We were averaging 140, 150 some odd non-fatal shootings a year. It was literally like a shooting or a shot or multiple shots fired calls every day. We were doing an average of 20 some odd homicides every year, which was extreme in a community of only 50,000 people.
Right. I was getting ready to ask you the per capita.
And we have been able to, like I said, the first year, 22 was our high, and we've been able to get we were able to get some things in place, some strategies in place, some people in place, and 23. I'm sorry, the end of going in at 22 to 23 when we were able to start to see the fruit of that labor, that effort, and that was the first year that we were able to have York be in single-digit homicides. I believe it was 6 that year. Not all attributed to gun violence. Some of them were other domestic incidents, stabbing incidents such as those, but getting in that single-digit number. Why you hear me say that so much is we haven't seen that in decades in York.
Wow.
So, like, literally, we haven't seen that in decades in this
So
community.
even back in the 70s when we were just children, the numbers were high.
We've always been, our average in York has always been around 12. So to be able to get in the single digits again, that takes it back to a 70s when we were younger, and 80s. Short of that, as the drug influx hit, unfortunately the violence came along with it. Once you remember when crack hit York, the violence came along with it, and we've stayed there. And then the introduction of gangs, because I was working in the school, you remember the time period when gangs really hit York prevalently. We've just had so many things, so many influences hit us even in this community that just changed the trajectory, and it's kept us in that high number. And then coming into the 17, 18, 19, we started to see the high capacity weapons and firearms and the influence of that hitting the community. So rather than it being a shot or two fired at a time, by the time we hit 2020 and 2021 coming out of COVID, it was, instead of being 6 shots were fired at somebody, it was 30. It was 50, it was 60, 70 rounds when we would go to scenes. So we had all these factors hitting. And then, like I said, just I praise God and the effort of everybody that allowed us to make this radical change, and the fact that the community listened and embraced us and started heeding the message and trying to be a part of its own change. When I say we got to single digits, I mean, like, that's a miracle that we were able to hit single digits that first year. And I'm glad Tiff is getting here, because then everybody thought that was an anomaly when we hit that milestone, we got into single digits. But then year 2 came, and it happened again, and we went even lower. And then it was people. That's when other cities, even people in this community, and we work so hard to celebrate the young people and the people in this community for being invested in and really wanting to be a part of change. But that's when we started seeing all the other cities and stuff take notice. And from Baltimore to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Reading, Allentown, Harrisburg, we started getting all the calls where everybody's wondering, what is it you guys are doing? And then we still had the people that were skeptics about the change that's happening here. But then we're sitting in year 3, and we're even lower now. Yeah, we're sitting in, I mean, we just went through a summer that, I mean, I refuse to knock on wood because I'm not superstitious. We just historically, and people can run the data themselves, this is the quietest summer that this city has ever seen. This is literally the quietest summer that the city's ever seen. So I understand the national picture. I understand the pain that we deal with when we lose anybody. And as Tiff will tell you when she starts to talk, any homicides is still going to be too many homicides. That means that we're always going to be at the drawing board trying to do whatever it is we need to do to get ourselves to 0. But with that said, I'm appreciative of this community and the change that they've wanted to see, because I can put all the cops in the world that I want to on the street, and we can take the message to the street corner, to the schools, to the prisons, and everywhere else. But until the other side listens, until the community listens and says, yeah, we want better, until we get them young boys that tell us like they tell us now, yeah, I want to be able to send my kids to the corner store and not have to worry about it. Yeah, I want my mom to be able to walk to church and not have an issue. I want to be able to play in the park and not have to feel any kind of way. Until that happened, we were still seeing high numbers in York, but it's a different conversation now. It's a different conversation in the prisons. It's a different conversation in schools. There's a different conversation happening in York, and you're seeing the results by the people that aren't dying.
Okay.
Sorry to get preachy.
Oh, no, it's okay. Pastor Overton, what's been your view of the violence? Because when did you come here?
I've been in York since probably 07, but really I was still going back and forth to Baltimore for probably 11 years. So really,
you being from Baltimore, I thought
13.
you had came later, but you've been here for a while.
I was still, spending all my time in Baltimore until probably about 14, 15, and really started like get involved more. My sons got older, so friends and so forth, and so started getting more into the community the same way I was in Baltimore, and like Commissioner said, they're doing a great job, but I do believe, one of the things that I always look at in schools, one thing is, education. One thing is education, and we gotta look at education as a whole. What you're being taught, how you're being taught, who you're being taught from. All of that plays an important part for you to really understand, like, who you are, right? When boys, right, and girls find out who they are, then if you have that column, that's what should line up inside of your column. Right? If you got other things in that column, either there's a confusion of who you are, right? Or what's supposed to be, or how that person acts inside of that column, right? So if you're saying like, hey, I'm a black male, but we got these other things in this column that doesn't represent what a black, then you might think that this is what a black male is, right? So you got all these things when it comes down to violence, but my thing is mindset. Like, it's mindset. It goes across. Like, he just said, like, hey, Harrisburg reached out to them. Pine, Arkansas reached out to them. Baltimore, right? All of this, because guess what? It's happening everywhere, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, when I travel to Baltimore, I travel to Camden, New Jersey, right? I can see the same black, like, splitting image, right? Splitting image. Like, wait a minute, they've never seen each other. They've never talked, but this is the same exact kid. How is that? Mindset.
And same social issues.
Mindset, right? So, you gotta look at. We have to look at the mindset. And when I say that, you know, everybody might not agree with this, but if they sit back and they think about it, when mental health hit the scene, right? Which mental health is real. There's no question. There's no question that it's not real. But then you also got to understand is our kids, is it mental health or is it mentality? Because you can't fix mentality with mental health strategies. It's a mentality. It's not mental. It's not like, oh, I was sad or I was
upset. Because I'm a therapist.
Right. So, and that's what I'm saying. So if you look at it and you say, you can try to put that this is how this kid obtained this because mental health says this, and this, right? It's easy to say that because feelings are real, right? But when you look at this kid who you say, okay, a gun was put in his hand, and you say, well, he had a mental health problem. No, that's a mentality that's created. So if we're trying to use strategies to fix this particular kid and say, no, you had a broken family, you had this, from mental health, it's not that because he already has a mentality of what is and who he is. He has been tricked into who he is and what he stands for and what he stands on, and we're over here trying to give him mental health strategies, right? Which are good for kids, right? I do it at my school, SEL, right? Social emotional learning. It's very effective, but it's not effective for someone who has a mentality, right? So, these are some of the things you gotta look at, and you have to be able to pinpoint them, right? Or it might look like a lot of progress, but then we're coming back to the table, right?
What about the society he lives in? And I want to get the question of Ms. Tiff. We started out, asking Commissioner Muldrow what's the progress been, over the years, because it seems like the concern is growing more. You got the tail end of Commissioner Muldrow. He said it's been improving over the decades. I didn't realize they had statistics going back that far. I just know in my later years as a teenager, it seems like it started getting worse, because we always talk about, Commissioner Muldrow, we're about the same age. We used to just throw up our hands. We weren't shooting each other. Not in this little town. It wasn't until the influx of New York guys, Philadelphia guys, and turf wars and all that, and then it seemed like the gunplay came in. What's your how would you rate the progress of how it's been over the years, especially with your position, if you can shine some light on it?
So you're saying, what is the progress of the gun violence?
Gun violence, yes.
Oh, over the years. So, well, first, please excuse me for being late.
It's okay.
As everyone know, we did have a shooting today.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will. We actually will. I just wanted to excuse myself. I just wanted to say sorry, because I actually was sitting in that and forgot about this. So that's going to take me right into my answer. I heard Mr. Muldrow say it. Our progress is great. Data's going to show it, right? But in my position, one is too many, right? It just is. One is concerning. Like, what could we do better? We can look at different strategies and different methods and different things we need to do. But as far as how it's been, yeah, our kids aren't dying at the same rate that they were. However, the ones that are dying, they're still dying in the same mannerism. Gun violence. You know what I'm saying?
Seems like they're getting younger. Is that correct?
50%. 50% of all of our violent crime in the city of York and every community like ours, Philadelphia, Harris, pull everybody's data. 50% of the violent crime, definitely in York City and any other city like ours, most communities like ours, 50% of the violent crime is young people, ages 23 and under.
Wow.
So in the last 4 years, I'm not going to repeat everything because I walked in on the tail end, but as you heard, Mr. Muldrow, give, the numbers. So those are the numbers. Those are, you can Google it, what I mean? It's real numbers, it's real facts. So, we have been putting in work over these last 4 or 5 years to get those numbers. And those numbers aren't easy to get. Some people tell people this all the time, and it's no disrespect to anyone. It's no disrespect to you, sir. It's no disrespect to WGAL and things like that. But sometimes people see this and they think that this is what the work is, get in front of a camera and get on a newspaper. But like I said, that's why I was apologizing, because what I was just doing was literally sitting in my house ready. I was just sitting in what happened today. You know what I mean? So a news article or an interview isn't of importance when you're doing this work day in and day out to try to keep everyone alive.
I wanted everyone's opinion on this. I work with youth. I'm a therapist, and I try to help what I can in the community. We could say it's something that's going on in the society that's leading to the violence. But then when I look abroad, somewhere like the Philippines, where people are in need of their basic needs more than us, but they're not killing each other like us. Is that a correct way
Absolutely. It's
to look
cultural.
at it?
It's cultural.
But how can that be?
It's a cultural phenomenon, and it goes beyond race. It goes beyond urban communities. It's what he was saying earlier. It's the reason why you can go to Omaha, Nebraska. It's the reason why you can go to Dallastown. It's the reason why you can go to Poughkeepsie, and you're going to see the same look. You're going to see the same attitude. You're going to see same people doing. You'll see different looking people doing the same thing because it's now cultural. It's cultural for them. The influences are there. It's in the dances. It's in the music. It's in the style itself. It's what we've allowed as a community to be perpetrated on our young people. At the same time, we're corroding a lot of the other structures that keep us strong, like church, like being able to teach culture in the school rather than, and all the time he spent in the school, he'll be able, and Tiff spent in the school, she's a teacher, they'll be able to co-sign this. We've taken the ability to teach moral code and ethics and character to our young people, and we forced good teachers to teach to the test. So we've divided families. So at the same time that we have all these negative influences that are being bombarded on our young people, we're taking away all the things that could have prepared them and taught them how to cope. And that's the result of what you're seeing now. You're seeing young people that are ill-equipped to cope the right way. So they're responding in kind. And then we've glamorized and glorified guns so much as a society across the board. And then we wonder why our kids turn to that to solve problems, to solve issues, instead of being able to talk things out or do, like you said, back when we were younger, at least even fight. By my last years at York High, and Tiff will tell you this, my young boys used to just straight up say, I don't fight. Mr. Muldrow, I don't fight. I don't fight. That's not what I do. If they got to see me, they got to see me with these guns. I don't fight. They'll tell you it's almost like a badge of honor. They've gotten so far off course, but that's what we fed them.
Yes.
We didn't give them the tools, and the system's not set up to give them the tools anymore that they need to be able to compensate and cope in an appropriate manner.
So what you're saying is, in comparison to third world countries, that some I know, because I go to the mosque and
They're trying to eat.
Yeah. Some people got to walk 50 miles to get a clean drink of water.
We don't have that burden.
We don't have that.
Nope.
But they're not killing each other.
Yes, because they're too busy. They're too busy trying to eat. They're too busy trying to navigate life. Mm-hmm. We have a more comfortable society than, like you said, a lot of the third world countries. But what we're doing with it is the issue. What are our young people doing with the comforts that they're given? What are they doing with even with the education that they're being provided? Yeah, they may not be being taught character, but are we really instilling a desire in them to want to be better? Those aren't the image, and I defend my young guys, my young people, because those aren't the images that they have to work with anymore. When we grew up, just like with him passing recently, my heart broke when Theo died, when Malcolm Jamal Warner died. My heart literally broke because when I look at it, that was the representation that we had to look at as young black guys, me and my brother. That's what we had, that's what we had to look at. That was our image. And our image that we had to look at, dressed to the best that he could. He defended his sisters and honored his parents, and he was pushing to go to college, and he wanted to be the coolest, cleanest, baddest, most articulate thing. And was proud of his backpack and the fact that he was no punk, but yet he was educated.
Yes, sir.
That was our image. What do our young guys have as an image right now?
I like Pastor Overton, because you work with the young people. What, as compared to other countries, and Commissioner Muldrow gave excellent. What is it?
Well, for me, I can't really speak on like I could do society, but I can't say I specialize in other ethnic groups. But as far as when it comes to black men, because I am a black man, and black boys, and growing up in a city and so forth, one thing that when you're looking at somewhere over there, one thing that Martin said that was very important, he had when he was doing an interview, one of the things that the journalist asked him is, he said, hey, what is it that white America needs to know about the Negro? The one thing. And he says that he was never an immigrant. Right? And that's very important because our perspective, people are trying to tell us how we should be able to see somebody who came here volunteering, right? Knowing what there was like and say, I can be a better place. We didn't come from that. We didn't come from, oh, it could be a better place. We came from a place that, hey, you're free, we gave you nothing. We didn't give you any money, we didn't give you any land. If somebody's gonna let you work on it, then everything we got, we kind of worked for, and then it kind of got flipped in the 60s. I don't want to get into it real deep, but it kind of got flipped to where, hey, I'll give you access, but I'm not gonna give the rest of them access. And I'll get another 20 blacks, and I'll just give one person access, but not the other 20. So now, the other two will go out and say, hey, no, they not that bad. Listen, we good, come on, they get, right, who they wanted to give access to. And so, when we look at it, do our kids really understand opportunity? Right? Do they understand opportunity? Whenever I'm teaching, even when I was doing groups, people's like, man, how you get kids to really do that? Because my number one thing is I have to be able to show them the benefit of it. What is the benefit of education? Right? Not like, oh, I want you to do it because I said, or I do it, or get a good grade. You know what I don't like when I go in schools, when I see teachers like trying to change a behavior based on saying, don't you want to get a job? Why are you asking an 8-year-old if he wants to get a job? Why are we talking to him about a job and not talking to them about, what is it that you love? What is it that you want to be, and how can I help you obtain it? Like, my son knows. If you ask my son that's at South Carolina State and some of the other boys that I dealt with, I've been teaching them, like, you don't go to high school to get a diploma. Right? They're going to give you that. As long as you're quiet in the seats, you could get that without never learning. How do I know? Because I graduated and I can't even read. Most people don't know that. Right? But you don't go. You go to school every day. I tell them, you go to school every day to cultivate your gifts and talents. Because once you know it and you know what you're going to give to the world is ready to take it. Right? So you're going to college now not to go get a degree. They're going to give you that. Yes, you're going to cultivate your gifts and talents so you can find out what it is you got to give to the world. We're teaching kids, it's a different time frame. Even when we grew up, people would be glad if you just get a job, keep it for 40. Now we're telling people about jobs. That's not the milestone anymore. Graduation shouldn't be the milestone for us, right? Because how many people do I know that's graduated that don't have a job now? That don't know what to do now? So what happens if you can't grab a hold of that kid that just graduated and nobody can cultivate that kid? Everything that he resisted from, right? They told me, don't get in the gang. Don't sell drugs, right? Don't rob people. Don't do drugs. I resisted all of that, and then I come out and I can't get anything. So the kid who been doing all that the whole time come to me and say, yo, I told you don't do that. Man, that was stupid. Yo, you might as well rock. You ain't got no money. Now, he's creating an opportunity for me when I did everything that they told me to do. I got a diploma. You got even people that got degrees. They're coming home and don't know where to go because where's the cultivation? Where's the baton? I ain't talking about, listen, giving back. Some people might think different, but giving back is really easy. Passing on is hard. That means you got to take somebody's hand. And you say, nah, I ain't going to let it go until you, and grab his hand, and you ain't going to let his go. And you grab his hand, and you're not going to let his go. And we all going to make it. Not because I did it, you know, you can also do it.
Excuse me, hold on. And we'll go to Miss Tiff. Our power.
Yes, sir, Brother Sharif, Chief Minister Paul Scott calling in.
Oh, how you doing, bro? What you got for us? This is Minister Paul from North Carolina.
I want to talk about the Tiahart Amendment.
About the what?
Tiahart Amendment. You want me to call in about the Tiahart Amendment?
Yeah, you can speak on that if you want. I don't think a lot of people know about it.
I thought that's what you told me you want me to call in and speak about.
Yeah, we had spoke about that before, but I don't think a lot of people know about it. As it relates to gun violence.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that was the email you sent me. You wanted me to speak on that.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, this is related to, you know, gun violence here in our town and nationwide.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So can you explain that for us?
Well, I'm on now?
Yes.
Oh, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is Chief Minister Paul Scott, Minister of Information with the Black Hoodie Brigade, Durham, North Carolina. And just want to talk a minute about the Tiahart Amendment. The Tiahart Amendment. A lot of times we go to these meetings and we ask the law enforcement, we ask the politicians, we ask them, where are the guns coming from? And they give us some run-of-the-mill answer about, teens breaking into cars. It's like that in North Carolina anyway, in Durham anyway, where teens are breaking the cars. And parents in there crying and victims are begging, where are the guns coming from? But the truth is, there's something called the Tiahart Amendment.
Can you spell that out?
Tiahrt Amendment.
Uh-huh.
And it was started back in 2003. And what it is an amendment through the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, that prevents law enforcement from telling you where the guns are coming from. So they give you little answers like, okay, they're coming from kids breaking into cars. But they can't tell you if they're coming from a particular gun shop. They can't tell you if they're coming from a particular fairground. That's all they can tell you is basic information like stolen cars. And that's really not getting to the answer of how these guns, these high-powered weapons, are actually getting into the black community or into the community, period, especially in the hands of youth, 13, 14, 15 years old. How are they getting these high-powered weapons? Under the Tiahart Amendment, Baltimore is actually suing the ATF or has sued the ATF against the Tiahart Amendment. I've been trying to get the city council and the mayor in Durham, North Carolina for the last year to join in that lawsuit or create their own lawsuit. They won't touch it, bro. So that's the Tiahart Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that's a national amendment?
It's a national amendment. People don't know about it. Started around 2003. And I know California, when then Senator Kamala Harris in California, they tried to do something against the bill as well. I think that was around 2020, 2019, 2020. So, in my opinion, and from what I researched, it's basically the NRA blocking bills like this. The NRA does not want anything to tamper with gun control. So they fight vehemently against anything like the T-Hart Amendment.
So, are you saying that makes it difficult for local law enforcement, wherever you are, to move forward when it comes to that because of a national amendment?
Yeah, it makes it hard for politicians. They can't get the information. As much as they go before the public and say, we need solutions for the gun violence, they don't have that information either. And activists like your panel, activists like in Durham, North Carolina, it makes it hard for us. Because what it is, you really wind up blaming the victim. You really wind up stereotyping and blaming the victim when you can only say it's teens breaking into cars. No cause and effect. No, these guns are coming from, people are making billions of dollars off these guns. You don't get that under the T-Hart Amendment.
And we can Google that easy.
Yeah, Google T-Hart Amendment Baltimore. And also, there are a couple of anti-gun violence websites that actually talk about it too.
That's definitely something to look into because we have enough obstacles with I've always asked, where are these weapons, coming from, especially with young people. I know once it gets out on the street, it's difficult because they scrape off the the serial number and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's a national amendment saying you can't access information, it's like a merry-go-round.
Yeah, I mean, you never get to the root cause that way. It's always going to start with blaming the teens, not the people who make millions of dollars on guns. There's an excellent, actually, let me give you a book by Carol Anderson called The Second. And it talks about the disproportionate ways gun control has been implemented in black communities. Her point is that you talk about the Second Amendment, but black men have been murdered by just reaching for a phone that they thought was a gun. Also, and that's Carol Anderson, is called The Second. It's dealing with the racial disparity in the Second Amendment. Also, there is an excellent documentary called Weapons of Choice. Weapons of Choice is the documentary about Glocks and how Glocks were not manufactured, but how Glocks were promoted in the black community, in the cities.
If I can say something to the brother that's on the line. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Hey.
Coming across well.
I wanted to throw out to you, I guess this is probably why I tend to get myself in trouble so much. Just when you get a chance, my name is Commissioner Muldrow here in York. I'm the police commissioner. I want you to do me a favor. Scribble this down. When you get a chance, I want you to Google Operation Scarecrow, York, PA. I want you to Google Operation Scarecrow in York, PA. So a few years back, we wanted to prove a point here in York, PA about where our guns were coming from. And we actually took a little arm twisting. I had a brave ATF supervisor that was in this area before he got promoted and went to Philadelphia, who agreed to run a detail with me. And we actually, for the purpose of doing just what you're saying, and being able to identify where these guns are coming from in a city that has absolutely no gun shops, we ran a detail to investigate the straw purchase trade of guns, and the flood of guns was coming in this community. And in 30 days, you'll see it when you Google it, we made a significant number of arrests and proved a point that there's a whole entire shadow business that's going on in this area and everybody else's area, where legal purchases are made, and then people bring those guns into communities like ours and sell them to our young people and everybody else, and then go home and report them stolen. And 30 days worth of investigation, you can see it, like it was 20 some odd individuals they knocked off in 30 days of investigation, just 30 days, and then we stopped just to prove the point. With the purchases and everything else, and the Paul Dehart was here running that one for me, helping with that one when we started it. Made a lot of people uncomfortable when we ran the detail, but it uncovered all that. Even young men that were going to gun shops with adults and picking out the gun that they wanted and waiting in the parking lot for the person to bring the gun back out. No, that's how the majority of the guns, at least in New York City, get in this community, is somebody lawfully that can go buy a gun, buys several guns from a gun shop, and they bring them in and they sell them off to our young people.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Russ.
Operation Scarecrow. Now, I mean, I don't know if the stars would align for me to ever even be able to do it again, but I know we did it then, and that point got proven. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Teilhard Amendment?
I'm not. Maybe that's half the problem. Maybe I'm, like Tiff always says about being naive. Maybe I'm too naive. Maybe I'm too naive to know any better. But I don't know what you're talking about. And until they fire me, I'm going to keep doing the kind of stuff that I do, like proving a point with Scarecrow and everything else.
Okay, I got you. 2021 Operation Scarecrow.
There it is.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
that is a legal thing. If you Google Teilhard Amendment and Baltimore especially, you get a whole lot of information on Teilhard Amendment. And I'm glad you're doing the work, but legally, there is a barrier called the Teilhard Amendment.
Thank you so much for that, and we're gonna research it more. And I knew you would bring something that needed to be put out there. That's why I reached out to you. You know, we used to do work when I was in dorm together, and keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you, bro. And the website to find more information is giffords.org. www.giffords.org.
Mm-hmm. And how do you spell the Teilhard again? One more time.
T-I-A-H-R-T.
T-I-A-H-R-T.
T like terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I-A-H-R-T.
H-R-T. Okay.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.
You know, I'm gonna look it up, and but we got some good people on task here, man. Stay in contact, my brother.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on the program.
All right.
Always an honor to be amongst you and your guests.
Thank you, brother.
Peace, peace.
I may interject just real quick. For everyone who's watching this particular program, this is the Hour of Power broadcast coming live every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the White Rose channel 16 and 18. If you're actually watching this on Facebook, we got a bunch of eyeballs, and I'm actually going to share some of the comments in a moment. Please put your comments. We're going to extend a little bit longer beyond the 9 o'clock time limit, so if you want to call in, the call-in number's on the bottom of the screen, 717-846-5067. We have the Police Commissioner, Pastor David Overton, and Tiff Bridges with the gun violence. And this is
Tiflo.
Tiff Lowe, excuse me. Dang, I'm putting them wrong.
We know her too.
I'm sorry, that's my cousin. So go ahead and give a call in. We have some wonderful comments, wonderful support. Everybody's chiming in. We got Carmen Bryan saying wonderful, brilliant, thanking you all for being on the panel and adjusting these issues that are going on. Eric Mann saying keep pushing on, brother. Tanya Larry is commending you all for the wonderful works that's done in the city. So, like I said, if you want to call in, if you have a comment on the bottom of the screen, we'll make sure that we try to get to it before the conclusion of the show. But I'll kick it back to you, Sharif.
All right, Miss Tiff, I know you interact well with the youth. Do you think that's a valid excuse of the things that they see with hip hop and the movies? I think Brother Overton mentioned that, and I've talked about it. Or is it more what they're learning directly in the home about gun violence with such young people? And like you said, the culture. It's the culture.
I wouldn't say it's an excuse. It's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
When we get taught things, right? People teach us, you might tie your shoe one way, I'm gonna tie mine the other, right? There's a couple different ways you can tie your shoe. I'm gonna do what I was taught, and I'm gonna do what's most comfortable. So with gun violence in our community, I'm in communities, all over, and as I listen to both of you guys, there's no one answer. There's no right answer, right? But one thing I do know is it is learned behavior. Even if it's not in the home, it is in the music. It is on social media. Right now, if we're going to be real honest, the young people aren't even really listening to music videos and watching music videos and things like that. When I was younger, I come home, we watch BET and things like that, and we mocked what we saw. But now we have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have social media, and instead of our young people, or not even just young people, for real, people in general, trying to help a person, if the first thing you see everybody is with their phones. Everyone has their phones, they're recording. Then that goes to social media, Instagram, all social media. And then these young people see the likes, the shares, and they want that. They feed off of that. Everyone's feeding off of that attention. You know what I mean? But then you go back to some of these individuals that it is being learned in the house. As you stated, you may have a family that, education isn't there, love isn't there, support isn't there. Nothing is there, but only thing is there is when they wake up, they know to pick up that gun, they know to sell that drug. That's love for them, that's education for them. Some of these young people can disarm a gun better than officers that was trained, better than Army vets, because they study it. Their family, that's what they know. That's what they know. So the real question is, honestly, how do we disarm them? How do we collectively disarm them? And if people don't understand,
you mean to get them to turn in their guns?
Turn in their guns. Stop killing. Stop. To unteach this. To teach them good habits now, because these are bad habits. And one of the things I've learned just in 4 years. Matter of fact, what's today? The 1st. Today marks 4 years that I've been with GVI. Today. And for 4 years, I've learned from October 1st of 2021 till now, each and every day you got to evolve your skills. You got to keep up with them. You got to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the things that I was doing in 2021 is not going to work today. The things that I just did today is not going to work tomorrow. I got to stay on social media. I got to stay hip. I got to stay educated. I got to stay filled up with love. I got to stay filled up with faith, so that I'm showing these young people, if I'm going to call myself a leader, or everyone else is going to call me one, I got to show them what that looks like. You know what I mean? So I have to play my part, and so does others. I can attest that it can be unlearned, because that was all I was learning at one point in my life. You understand? So I come from a product of what you talked about, of what we're talking about. And in one part of my house, it was definitely love. You know what I mean? Kudos, and my grandmother, I hope she's resting in peace. That lady showed me love. She loved me dearly. That was one part of my house. But then the other part of my house was drugs. Another part of my house was guns. Another part of my house was sexual abuse, and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? So I had the option to either learn this or learn that. I learned both. Now, what am I going to do when I get to the world? You're right. I could go out here and I can be educated. I can be top of my class. I can get the degree. I can do all of that. Whippy. or do I go to jail? Well, I tried that too. You know what I'm saying? So I hear what everyone's saying, but I do believe that you can unlearn these behaviors and start learning new things if you have people put in place, that's going to give you an opportunity. And not just a fake opportunity, like a real opportunity. Take this. You don't have to bust your behind to get. I'm giving this opportunity to you. Here. Now, what are you going to do with it? Now, that's where we run into issues sometimes in our community. Is like we give them the opportunity, literally. Right now, we have a scholarship. That's giving you the opportunity. You don't have to do anything but take it and go become a CDL truck driver. That's all you have to do.
Commit.
That's all I'm going to hold your hand, just as you said. And if my hand is tired, Mr. Marshall, pick his hand up. Jess, pick his hand up. V, pick his hand. We got you. If you choose, which we've had individuals choose, now because you got the opportunity, we're showing you the way. We're being transparent. How many people are going to be, not too many people are transparent with their stories. You just heard an educator say, yo, I didn't know that. Yo, I graduated and couldn't read. This is an educator we're talking about. You start being transparent so that when they see somebody that looks like them and understand, yo, I've been there too. Matter of fact, it was worse. So if I can do it, tell me why you can't. Well, what did you do, Miss Tiff? Someone gave me an opportunity. Somebody believed in me. Someone didn't give up on me. So now I have to do the same thing back. I think it's an easy fix. I really think it's an easy fix. It's just we don't have enough people that believe it's an easy fix. Everybody's looking for these big answers. Nah, the answer's within you.
That's true.
The answer's right there. It's not that hard. You can't make me believe that it's that hard. Today I sat in my office and I said to my team, I said, dang, yo. They said, what's up? Everybody was okay. Not okay with today, but they were still on some like, yo, we're good with numbers. But it beat me up that we made the 3 murders this year. 3. Other people might say, Tip, that's not that bad. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't care if it was domestic. I don't care what it was. It's horrible. So as I started out with is, now that means that I got to get back to the drawing board 8 o'clock in the morning and I got to evolve. Now I need to look into the domestic. You know what I mean? Like, you always got to keep up with it. Yeah. You got to keep up with it. And I think a lot of people look for this, like, scholarly answer. Nobody's trying to hear scholarly anything. Nobody could care about that at the end of the day. I could give you all the textbook readings in the world. Nobody's listening to that. It's within you. What are you willing to change within you to change this community? When we talk about, when you said about like a third world country, these people are literally, like you said, just trying to eat, trying to live. What are we doing? We're trying to starve. We're trying to die when we got the opportunity right in front of us. We got to make it make sense.
But I think that's a big point, right? Listen to what you said. They're looking at, we're trying to die, right? Like, what are we valuing? Like I hear Tiff talking about, first of all, I want to commend them for what they're doing in York. It's so needed. And they've been rocking it out for these years, right? And yes, they need help. They need help. And what I want to say is they need help on the other side. And I would want, for y'all to look also on the other side, because I don't want you to get burnt out. And what I mean by that is it's a balance. When you saying, listen, we only got 3, that's great. The 3, right? And you like, nah, because I need 0. Listen, you got to also, all them kids that you are influencing, you got to get them to get to another place so you can see the balance side of it. Like, Dad, I just put a kid, he's now a CEO of such and such. It balances that out, right? Because you're doing a great work here.
So I don't knock the work, but you can tell you how I live. Right. Let me tell you what this is. It's crazy because I literally just gave this to my girls at basketball tonight. You got a dream and you got a goal, right? So a goal gives me the foundation. Okay, so the goal is, all right, we was at 25. The goal is next year, let's cut that in half, right? And then another goal is, and then once I get there, I cut it in half, right? Then what? That's still half of 25 kids or 25 whoever died. I got a dream, and the dream is 0. Right. So that's always going to give me something to. I say good job to us, but I cannot sit in that for long. I can't sit in it because if I sit in that too long, I get comfortable. I get stagnant, and I'd rather not. And I think that, I hope that I know when I'm about to get burned out, so that's why I try to make sure I give other people opportunities. That's why I make sure I pour into other people so that I can pass the torch when it's time for me to go. Because this is important work. So the moment that, and if I'm going to be honest, you know how many times I've quit? You know how many times I done ran in his office and I done quit? Like, and I was serious, like, okay, I'm done. Because I felt like I was burnt out. And he lets me quit, and then I leave, and I come back to it. You know what I'm saying? But I say that because at the end of the day, I just turned 40. And God willing, I got a lot more to come. So at 40 years old, allow me to turn up as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? Allow me to, if you think I'm going to get burnt out, give me some water. But right now, it's just the mindset, is the dream and the goal. The goal is to hit 0. So once I hit 0, then what? Do I get stagnant? Nah, I got to keep dreaming. I got to keep 0 now for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I got to keep dreaming. It got to be bigger than a goal.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, like, the balance, right? Because even if you get 0, if now you got 5 CEOs, that now they're building stores and companies right in York.
I need 10.
Right? Right. You need to. So that's what I'm saying. The balance of, listen, I'm making sure that people ain't dying anymore. We dealing with guns, but we also building the community. Like, he's a business owner. She's a business owner. He's a business owner. And that's all from the people that you pulled in. That's the other side of it, right? When I say brother, I'm not saying like brother, I'm saying like, hey, make sure somebody's pouring into you as well, because you're giving out so much and you're doing great things.
Absolutely.
Right? The big thing is, go ahead. You want to take that?
Hour of Power.
Question. Hello?
Yeah, who's calling?
Okay, got a question for you guys. For the young lady that's up there talking. She
Hello.
was saying that the youth, there's programs for them to get CDL license.
Yes, sir.
Who do they have to go through to get those CDL license?
Me.
Who, you?
Yes, sir.
All right, so when they come to you, that's kids from the inner city, correct? Or
Yeah, so the scholarships is called More Graduations, Less Funeral Opportunity Scholarships. You can look those up. It's for anyone that's in York City that was affected by gun violence. That's the basics of it. And again, in order to be eligible, you have to be affected. Now, some people, and it's on the scholarship, you can go online. If you're not eligible, it's because you're still actively involved, where we can prove that you're actively involved in gang or gun violence, and or if you have a pending case or like a felony warrant or something like that, then we would have to, and we don't throw you away with that. Actually, we put you on pause until you take care of it, and then we come back around and get you.
so basically, this is like a post program of if you get in trouble, it's not nothing that prevents you from getting in trouble. So if there's somebody that comes to you like, hey, I want to go get a CDL license, even though just because they're not involved, they can't get the help, correct?
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I can't say that. It's not about getting in trouble. It's about where you affected. And when we say that, it's so broad, right? It is so broad. I could have been affected by gun violence because I was the neighbor and there were some shots fired, and I don't know, that may have caused PTSD. It's not me getting in trouble. It's just I can't sleep at night because that has affected me.
And if you were a shooter and you're willing to not be a shooter anymore and commit to putting your gun down, and you don't have an active case for shooting somebody, and you're willing to stop and let her send you the hack, you come in, fill out the paperwork, we'll send you the hack to go get your CDL or your nursing certificate or whatever else is on the list, as long as you're willing to commit to not doing it. And if your dad was somebody who was out there and got shot and killed, or you were affected that way on the victim side, we send them.
All right, but my thing is, I'm hearing this. That's a great program. Trust and believe that for those that are in trouble, because everybody needs a second chance in things in life. But there's so many kids out here that don't want to be involved and don't want to be around, and they can't find their way. Maybe just because they're not in trouble, and not, you know what I mean, shooting and things out here like that. They need help too.
They're
They need
eligible.
attention. Like, what pro do?
But there's other educate. I mean, they're eligible, but sir, there's also. So let me come back some, because I do hear you. So with what GVI, what I work for, we are focused on gun and gang violence prevention. That's what my job is, right? So if I had the cape to take care of each and every one of these kids and send each and every one of these kids, regardless of anything, trust me, I would. So that's the scope of my job. However, for those that do not get involved in these activities, there's other educational opportunities for people that for free. So one of them is Job Corps. Are you familiar with Job Corps?
Yes, I went to Job Corps.
Okay, Youth Build. There's others that I cannot think off the top of my head, but there's other free opportunities for young adults that do not, quote unquote, get in trouble. But this scholarship isn't just for those who get in trouble. It's anyone who was affected.
Yeah, which can be a lot of kids in the city, because a lot of these kids can, you know what I mean, have PTSD.
Absolutely.
What's going on in their communities. You know what I mean, hearing gunshots, seeing gunshots, see people in their family, all type of things. But my biggest question here is, and my biggest thing here when I see in the city here, the city that's so small, it comes down to education. It comes down when the kids first start to school. You know what I mean? School. I watch a lot of kids that transfer and might go to a different school. Say they go from York to Central. When they get to Central, they act totally different than what they act when they get in York High. So it's a mentality with these kids here and in their environment. How do we change that environment and make learning fun again? There's an educator up there, correct? The
Yes.
brother that's sitting in the middle?
Yeah. If I would answer that, it would come down to helping them understand the benefit of education. And I'll be honest with you, I've been trying to get into York City schools for years. I've been for years to be able to, and I almost got in 2 years ago to do like PDs and so forth, right? Like things like behavior is just communication, right? To help teachers to really understand, are you looking at a kid, he flips the desk over, is your first response, because he flipped the desk over, what's going to happen to him, or grab him, whatever, versus your first response, not saying that you're not going to handle that, but your first response is, why is he communicating like that? Why does he communicate by kicking the table over? Why does he communicate by, so the thing is, also when we talk about opportunities, it's also giving opportunities to people that you believe that can help change things, right? And sometimes individuals aren't given that opportunity for whatever reasons. It's definitely education, right? Education would solve probably 80% of our stuff. And I'm not just talking about in school or institutionalized education. I'm talking about across the board, right? I'm in church, even in church, right? We should be teaching. You think about some of the things that are going on now where we're upset. They're taking this out. Well, you should be teaching it in church. We should be teaching about our culture in church. So there's other avenues, but you're right. When it comes to education is the key. And do we need help with parenting and so forth because we have young ones? Yes. But at the end of the day, first of all, we got to be honest when it comes to education. I've been to a lot of places where they have programs, and the program gets $1 million, and the first thing they say in August, like, for this program to work, we're going to have parent participation. They already know they're not going to have parent participation.
You think the fact that there's not a lot of parent participation in the early ages of school? Because you got to look at it like this. Like, we send our kids, like, say our kids go to McKinley or Jackson or somewhere like that. Mm-hmm. They go to school, and when they go to school, for some reason, they're young. As young as they are, they're still acting out. And they're young, you know what I mean, in like the 8-5 and the first grade and all that. They're still acting out.
And I think I think it's a cultural thing too, right? You got to be able to build relationships, right? And I don't have time to go into like 5 different relationships that there are out there, right? Like, everybody's not going to have a relationship with kids the way I have with kids, right? I've been doing this for a long time. It's my passion. It's my gift. It's my talent. It's what God wants me to do, right? There's other people that love to teach or love to do a subject and so forth. So they need to be taught these things on how to handle and build relationships, right? Because it's easier to teach someone who believes in you or buys into you, right? And so I think when you think about it, it's definitely education, but it comes down to, again, who's educating the educator, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it comes down to that. But how do we start that program? How do we start that here in York City to where the fact that we get these kids in these schools, especially when they come in young. When you get kids when they're young, that's the easiest way to start grooming them before they get to the, the bigger grades and all that stuff like that. When we start putting structure in those, like K-5, first grade, second grade, when we're not dealing with the acting out and all that stuff, we make learning fun again. How do we do that? And I heard you saying it's about who we have in there facilitating the classes, blah, blah, this and that. If we know the wrong people are there, why isn't a lot of focus, set on that? Because don't they start building jails when kids get to third grade and start acting up and blah, blah, this and that?
I mean, that's a very, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, as a 13-year school district executive, I'm going to put on my York City School District hat, and I'm going to speak on their behalf. They deal with being a cash poor institution. They're an institution that has always had to figure out how to get a lot done with a little bit. So my challenge would be, how do you get that implemented in the York City School District? And this isn't going to sound good. It's literally what we're doing with GVI. You figure out how to develop the program, and you take it and offer it to our school district for free. That's how you get in the door. That's literally what GVI is. I mean, I pull no punches on it. That's what GVI is. GVI is an education-based strategy that's having conversations. What she's done with it is an education-based strategy that's having difficult conversations with people about conversations about subject matter that's focused on keeping them alive. And she designed a curriculum, and we pay for it, and she pushes into the school district, and it's at no cost to the school district. We know our kids need it. We know we have a lot of talented individuals in this community. It's a matter of, what are we willing to give up, our time, our talent, or our treasure? And these are conversations that need to be had. These are important factors and chunks that our young people need to get. We have to figure out ways to offer that to the school district without lining our own pockets.
Yeah, but the problem is, you send people in there to do things like that. You saying without lining your own pocket, but you go in there and you correct things, but they got people in there that's working, that's being paid, that's supposed to be doing that.
And we can absolutely, but at this point, do we let our kids fall to the wayside, or do we support the people that might not know how to do it by popping in, showing them how to support them, showing them how to do it better, because maybe they have a desire to want to do it, but they don't have the background or the know-how to be able to communicate to our kids in that way, in the way that we know they need to be loved and appreciated and reached. So we push in and have those conversations and model it for them and support them, and then we move on. Or what we bring to the table is valued so much that it's undeniable, and they see a way to pay for that rather than paying for something different.
I like the idea, yeah. But listen, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I think you guys are doing a great job in this community. With Lady Crime, everything is down. Keep up the good work. Great program and everything. I just wanted to get some questions answered. I don't want to hold the phone up too long so somebody else can call in and ask questions, but appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, bro. I'll make one more comment on that, and then if we could, because I know your time is valuable, I have one more important question. From what I know, education-wise, going into the schools for years, one thing that was the death blow at York High is when trade schools left York High and went to Votech. And I have to look this up. I heard when this happened in the 70s, they signed a 100-year contract to keep the trade schools at Votech. It isn't just an abracadabra thing to bring it back into York High, but I think it would solve a lot. Like what you said with education, everyone's not built to go to college, but I mean, these things can help us feed a family, electrician, carpentry. So a lot of these students get intimidated
Thank you.
by education.
Thank
A
you,
lot of them
100%
can't
right.
read, and 4 years. I mean, I had to go to school 6 years just to be a therapist. Not everyone is built for that, but these are things that can, get people on their feet, right away. I know Abdul Jamison is working on that, but if everyone does a little, no one has to do a lot.
I think you're 100% right. And to your point, I'm gonna throw out the caveat as an individual who was blessed enough to be able to start a public safety program in the school and navigate through some of those restrictions and some of those old agreements that were put in place. Anything that Votech offers is covered by that, but anything that you're able to introduce is fair game. So when we put in
the whole,
it's
started in
subject. It's
York High
all
in the 70s.
subject related.
But it started in York High in the 70s.
It is. But right now, what I'm telling you is it's all subject related. So when we introduced firefighting, when we introduced paramedic program, when we introduced phlebotomy, anything that Votech doesn't offer, that's a trade at barbering. Cosmetology is at Votech, but barbering would be wide open at York High. That's the workaround. Sometimes you got to find the workaround. If you can't get in the window, get in the back door. If you can't get in the back door, go on the roof and slide down the chimney. The workaround is anything that's not actually offered at Votech is open and fair game. And I know for a fact Dr. Berry, the new superintendent, is ripe for it. She's open to it. So that is there is a workaround for that. It's some of those other things, even like when you mentioned the counseling piece. If you had the time, if you put together a program and you wanted to put together an intro to counseling to be able to offer to our young people, you would be able to. It would be open because it's fair game. It's not something that they're already offering.
Just gotta let our youth know that those opportunities
Yes,
are there.
we got to create them and then let them know that they're there and make them attractive enough for our young people to want to get them. Like Diaz is doing with his program. Yeah, that's literally what Diaz is doing with his program. You find those nooks and crannies to work around some of those old contracts and stuff that were in place, and there's a lot of wiggle room in that.
Wrapping up, a lot of people know that I have this, platform, and they, not, I don't know what you want to call it, complain or not, but what's the process or the progress with unsolved murders in York? I think it's a lot of hurt, and we were growing up, we kind of knew who our people were. With the disconnect, the young people, they're hurting their own family, sometimes, but it is a lot of pain with the unsolved murders. In York, I can just run off about 4 or 5 in my head right off the top. But what, some people are so angry and frustrated, they look like they ain't doing nothing, about it because it's their pain, it's their family, and they don't see nothing, happening at the time. But I know it's a process. I know about what you want to say, but I want you and Tiff to,
Absolutely.
What's the progress?
And I go again, I say to the work of Tiff and what the department is doing with being able to turn that faucet off with the constantly adding new homicides and constantly being bombarded with new homicides and new cases, with them getting that under control. That's literally why last year we went back and we started up the cold case initiative with the show attached called Remember Me. Their entire process is designed to be able to shine new light on those old cases and allow the families to voice that pain to the community, because with the intention that maybe just maybe, and we always know that's the case, there's a witness or there's somebody that has a little bit of information that was holding on to it, because when they hear me or they see Baez or Tiff on a news briefing and they're saying, hey, please help us with this case, what do you know about this? Or they have the officers knocking on the front door, you can turn a deaf ear to them, but you can't turn a deaf ear to that mom's pain that's sitting there telling you how she felt when she lost her young person, how she felt when she lost her loved one, that child telling you how she felt, like that show we did when that little girl told us how they felt when they lost their dad. So that was the crux of why we started the Remember Me initiative, to be able to go back and be able to, in having been through that with my own brother, with Wayne, wanting to be able to give the families an opportunity to voice the life of the person they lost in a way that we don't even always see handled in the media. We always don't, because you don't always see, I'm not knocking the media, but how they portray it, you lose, they don't know the people, so they lose the heart of it all. Hearing Miss Trish tell you about Wayne, hearing my wife tell you about her brother, hearing his kids be able to sit there and tell you like what my dad meant to me. That's a man that was a better dad than I ever could have been. I watched him with his kids. Hearing that goes far beyond that snapshot of whatever may have happened with him in the past, or the fact that he got killed. No, he was a father, he was a son, he was a brother, he was a man that loved his whole entire network of people. And you get that when we sit down with these families, and it gives them opportunity to get it out and do a better job at it than we ever could. And with that, it's cool because now we have a host of new detectives. I'm old, so I'm not knocking any of the older guys, but when you put fresh vantage points, fresh energy in anything, you could potentially get new results. So it's kind of like, yeah, I've looked at this as well as I could. Now you give it a shot. That's what we're doing with Remember Me. When those happen and they get highlighted, all those cases get reassigned to these new young lions, and they're on it, wanting to be able to bring closure for these families, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. So being able to let our community know that you're not forgotten, hence the name Remember Me, is important. I'm proud to have been a part of that.
Ms. Tiff, what do you think that people who know what's going on, because someone's seen something, what is it that they're, other than the obvious, that they're so afraid of? Because we're all told that it's going to be confidential. Do you think the perpetrator knows? The perpetrators can't know everything. So I could have been standing across the street and saw something. What do you think is they're so apprehensive with? Because I know that's what you need.
Man, that is a good question. I guess it goes back to the mentality, the no snitching, which is, I guess I don't get it at this big old age of mine now. If I am a law-abiding citizen and someone gets gunned down in front of me, I'm not snitching. You know what I'm saying?
Protecting your community.
That's exactly, and then understanding that if that was your family. But one of the things I hear and I've heard, and I'm going to say it on this, and I hope, my community don't throw me away for this, but I hate hearing, let the cops do their job. That line burns me. How can the cops do their job when you're not going to help them? If you know who killed someone, in order for the cops to do their job, you must say something. You know what I'm saying? But it's that mentality of, yeah, well, just let the cops do their job. How? You are a part, or you're a part of their job. Tell them. Show them your cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone died. This isn't nothing. This ain't, and again, I know I probably shouldn't say this. If it was 2 people in front of your house boxing or something, and you don't want to tell the cops, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. You got a little scratch, okay. But this is someone's life that is gone. These are families that are hurting. And as Mr. Muldrow said, regardless of how you may want to paint the person out, because that's another thing. People say, oh, well, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. Do I get that? Absolutely. Do I get it? Yeah. I'm not going to act like I don't get it. But I believe that no one deserves to die. I don't care how they're living. You know what I'm saying? There's just other justice. There's just no reason why people should get gunned down for the reasons they're getting gunned down. And then you have the other folks that, is just being prideful, is that learned behavior. It's, I'm not snitching. It's the I'm not snitching. And once we get up out of that, because when you talk about unsolved murders, one thing I learned back in 2021 by one of the detectives I spoke to, because you got to think, when I came into this work, I didn't really know too much about law enforcement. I, wasn't a really big fan of law enforcement, and I had to build relationships with a lot of those guys because as a community member, I was on I'm still on my community side, let me say that. But I was more so like with that learned behavior, like, oh, they're not doing anything. They're forgetting about us. So I had to build relationships with these detectives to see, are you really doing something? Or are you doing exactly what my community said and that's nothing? And I had to learn that was not the truth at all. You know what I mean? I see the hurdles that these detectives go through. I see the barriers that are being put in place. But one of the things that a detective said to me, and I never, ever will forget what this man said to me, and this was back in October of 21. And he said to me, he said, Tiff, there are really no unsolved murders in this town because someone knows who did it. He said most times we even know who did it. It's the fact that we can't prove it. He said I could go down all of these murders and I could tell you that's who did that, that's who did that. But just because I know it, I need someone to come and testify. I need the evidence, but it's known. This is York, we know. So on paper, it's unsolved. But truthfully, it's not. Someone listening to me right now knows who killed someone. But you're sitting here listening to me and still saying, I'm not going to, and we're not going to say I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to heal because I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that family, so I'm not going to. No, come on. It's not about telling, it's about healing. Because at the end of the day, it's just on paper that it's unsolved. In this little old town, somebody knows. Someone knows. So we got to get out of that I'm not telling. Bump all of that. Say, yo, I want to heal. Because, and that's another thing I think about all the time. If I'm holding this in, if I know that John shot Joe, I'm gonna believe that that's gonna come back and get me. You know what I'm saying? So if you're wondering why, this person getting cancer and that person this and all this, your family dying by the dozens, think about what you know. You know what I'm saying? That thing gonna come back around and get you. So, think about stuff like that. I know I do. I got a conscience, I do. So, I tell my community knows this. I'll say it here, I'll say it anywhere, I'll say it across the world. Don't kill nobody in front of me because I'm not living with that. Don't kill nobody in front of me. I'm not living with that. Call me what you want. Period.
Like you said, people know, since a lot of people reach out to me, I don't gotta go into detail, but we had a vicious murder on East Market years ago with a very well-known young man, and I'm asking the people, they said, oh, plenty of people knows what I was in broad daylight on that street right before Turkey Hill. But no one has stepped forward, and we can go right on down the line.
That's all it takes.
Very
concerning.
I'm with you, Tiff. I tell everybody, I'm the biggest snitch. When I tell you, we got to change this culture around. So if you just like you, I'm gonna take the heat off of you. I'm the biggest snitch. If you kill somebody around me, you gotta worry about I will be the one that.
But I think
you gotta that.
you gotta define that too, so people feel. Because it's a different than a snitch and someone telling.
Absolutely, I say it all the time.
Right. Like what you're doing is you're telling because you're not a part of it.
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you.
And so a snitch is someone who's a part of it.
Got you.
Right.
If
me and Marjorie want to go rob a bank and we need somebody we need a driver.
Right.
He say, yo, go get Phil. We go get you, but we don't tell you we do it. Yo, we gotta run into the.
I'm with you.
So you get caught. Everybody else is telling you, you're a snitch if you tell. So you take that on. You take that burden on that you never were supposed to take on. Right? That's not your thing.
Great comment. Yeah.
And
It's a great
I think
Got
another
something to
big
gain.
thing, right. If you know you in it, then yes, the code would say you don't say it. But we've made a street code a community code. Right? That's what we did. We made it a community. Like your grandmother can't even tell now. Why? Oh, she is. Your 80-year-old grandmother a snitch.
But then if you think about the street code, right? And I'm glad you touched on that. And I love touching on this. There is no real street code no more, right? Because the street code that I knew I grew up with, coming from like out south and being around like the 212 and all of that era, right? women, children, was
Schools,
all
churches,
you know what I mean? It was
yeah.
levels to this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the real
They was different.
snitches get stitches. It was that was all real. If we're gonna talk about snitches and stuff like that, and I'm community, so I guess I'm allowed to say this. I don't want to see no violence happening, but sometimes it ain't the community telling. It is the person that was with you that done told on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, now your back is up against.
Then it is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So some of these things
Yes.
could be getting solved because so when we talk about the street code, if the community has picked up that code, oh baby, we in trouble.
Yeah, that's why we in trouble. Right.
Because if it was just
Right.
in a, if they kept it confined, we'd have been all right. But if the whole community has picked up this street code that has no loyalty, that has no love, that has no anything, well then maybe that is the answer. That's why that's probably the answer
And
right
I think
there.
that is the part. I think that's the part that we're seeing, right? That comes back to value, right? And I was teaching, and I don't want to go into like Bible and all that, but like love, unconditional love, is only attached to value. I can love someone, if somebody looks at me, man, look what he do, he love you, but I know why I'm doing it, so it can look like love. You don't know if I love that person till you see other areas to be able to say, I value you. And so what we're seeing in the community right now is like people are looking at people as things, right? Like it's no name. We don't value our name. We don't value nobody. So what are you saying? I'm saying a thing doesn't have a name, right? A thing is an object that one needs not. So if I don't need it, I can throw it in the trash. So you're talking about somebody picking up a thing, which is an object, which is a gun. They're a thing because they don't even love themselves, right? They don't even value their name. And I'm shooting a thing that I think is just a thing.
Right.
He don't have no name. So we're not valuing the gun. We're not valuing, when I say value the gun, because yes, you have guns for protection. There is a time of protection. I ain't talking about this, but we wouldn't have them, right? At all. But so there's a purpose for a gun, right? But what I'm saying is when I'm a thing, when I believe I'm a thing, nobody has taught me who I am at all. I don't even value my name or my people's name. I'm a thing. I can throw myself. I don't care about life, right? And I'll pick up something that's a thing and I'll shoot a thing.
Right.
Because I don't value him either. So even to the point that now it's gotten a community where guess what? You're saying, tell us who shot this man. And they're looking at it, it's so normal. They're like, shoot, that was just a thing.
And it's funny that you say that because now you got me thinking about what's been modeled and the things that we've heard, things that I heard over the years from like my dad and Mr. Leon. God bless anybody that remembers Mr. Leon in the barbershop. If I'm that committed to my wrath and my rationale and my reason to take a man's life, you ain't gonna have nobody tell on me. I ain't gonna run. I'm gonna tell you I did it. That's how I was raised. If I did it, I'm gonna tell you I did it. If I'm that committed that I needed to take somebody's life, I'm gonna sit right there and I'm gonna make sure you know that I did it.
Yes.
But then you think with that, like when we talk about street codes and things like this, right? It's also a game. You know what I mean? So like what you just said, if I'm gonna do it and I meant to do it, regardless if you're a thing or not, and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna sit in it, 95% of the shootings that we have here in York, and then you could compare these to like Baltimore and Chicago, right? Because I've done my research on that. Baltimore and Chicago, they shoot you, stand over you. Matter of fact, they do some different. They got a different type of violence.
Ritualistic type.
Yeah, they got a different type of violence. Now I don't want that to ever hit here.
Right.
So I need to be careful with this. But 95% of our violence, and I have to say this, it's a bunch of punks. They shoot, they run. They don't even see the blood. They don't even see it. They just shooting and running. You know what I'm saying? They playing those video games, and so this is real life out here. And then you talking about a code. So I always tell them, like, if you play Call of Duty, right? There's a code, and the code, whatever code you put in, you can cheat and you can win the game, right? Well, that's what they doing in the streets, right? They living by this code, but it's a cheat code. Because you're not winning anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a whole cheat code. And then you're running. You don't even get to see if that's your Vic. Because that's the thing. They be like, oh, well, because they're disrespectful after they kill him, too. Oh, I'm smoking on them. Or but you don't even you're not even man enough or woman enough to turn around and look at that body. You're not. You hit it and you go. Because I think that too, like, because, and I have to say this, I don't believe we're too far gone.
Nope.
I don't believe this community's too far gone.
Not at
Because
all.
when our young kids, once they do get caught, they don't even make it to York County Prison. They
And they're
down,
kids again.
They kids, they down there crying, they
Yeah.
praying, they everything. Because they done shot, they never even looked and seen what they hit. So in their eyes, it's GTA, it's Call of Duty. But then once they get to the precinct and, you know, those detectives start talking about, well, you know, you're looking at 20 years, now they want to be 15 again. Now they want to go by the code that their parents, because that's another, we got some great parents in this community. We can't knock them. We got some great educators in this community. We can't knock them. They're pouring into these kids, but sometimes these kids just go and do what they want to do. And then they got to find out. Then they got to find out. So, like, when we go into the prison, we got, you know, the kiddie pot in the prison, right? These is 15, 16-year-olds that we go in and see either every day or weekly, right? Man, they're not what the paper said they was. They're not what the paper said.
Amen.
They're not what the paper said they was.
Amen.
But my question has always been, since I've been trying to help in the community, how do we get the message to the ones that need it? When you have your programs and you and a lot of people know knock to it, it's like we're preaching to the choir. How do we get the ones that really need, and all of us got to answer that question, you know, how do we get the message to them?
One bite at a time.
Every time I go to these programs, it's always the same people there.
One bite at a time. So if I got a program, right? Let me get 10 of them. And but the thing with the programming is, and I don't really like the word program. I like strategy, because, you know, I remember being a kid. Don't put me in no program. Everybody got the same thing. Don't put me in no program. So come up with a strategy and figure out what do I need, right? So when we talked about thinking outside the box, when we talked about, you know, bringing like trades and stuff in and how we can get into York City, thinking outside the box. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do the same thing, and I'm not knocking it because I think it's a great program. I wouldn't do the same thing that Tavon Parker's doing. I wouldn't do the same thing that Delane Simpson's doing. They're already doing that. Tavon got 60, Delane got 60, let me get 60, right? Now what do I need to do? So one of the things like I did is we implemented equine therapy. Now I know nothing about training horses, but I partnered with people that do. So now we're taking kids from the hood and we're taking them out to the farm, right? So give me mine. Then I got another where they literally are mandated to come to me to journal. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Journaling. But we built something to have prompts, right? So I got to do something different. Then you got to do something different. Then you got to do something different. When we all do something different, we can, it's an elephant. We're all taking a bite at a time. And I always look at the elephant. If Tavon's taking a bite, Delane's taking a bite, and everybody around here is taking this bite on this elephant, and we go after this one leg, what's going to happen? That thing going to knock over, right? That elephant going to fall over. We take one of the legs, the elephant going to fall. So that's what we trying to do. We trying to push this thing. We trying to get this thing. Then we go after another. But sometimes in communities and in York, and some people going to be mad at me again. I need to get off this show.
Our power.
It's an elephant, and in what York sometimes we don't realize that this big old elephant is our community, it's our kids. So some people want to take a bite of this leg, some people want to take a bite of this leg, some people want to swing on the trunk, some people want to be on the top. Nah, we all got to get on the same leg.
Right.
You ain't gotta like me. You don't gotta like me, I don't gotta like you. But you take a chunk, I'll take a chunk. Let's knock this thing down. And then we can all go back home.
And what are you willing to do? Like you said, people, like what you were just saying, people see my town hall, but they don't know I cut hair at the prison every month. What are you willing to do? A lot of people like to talk. A lot of people like to criticize. A lot of people throw shot and shade. But are they willing to do the work that I actually do? Do you actually know the work that I do? Are you willing to do the work that I actually do? Every single day that I'm out running, and I intentionally run everybody's neighborhood every time, every day, no gun, and I stop and I talk to any young boy that wants to talk to me, or I roll up and approach any young boy that slows down enough to be able to hear me. Are people willing to risk what I'm willing to risk? Not the cute stuff, not the news article, not the little town hall meeting, the stuff that I do. And not only that I do, that I've done since 1998.
Yes, sir.
One last question, because we could be here forever. Would the implementation of 140 cameras help take down some of the crime?
Absolutely.
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 You're for
It's a ridiculous thought to think that it wouldn't.
That's
My
fine.
little 8 cameras, when it's funny, when the thing hit and she's talking about hot summers and needing to be able to move and change with the culture and stuff, we had something go on, and I remember Tiff coming to my office. I remember that day you came to my office and you said, Mr. Muldrow, it's picking up. I'm feeling it. Like I'm telling you, I'm reading the tea leaves, it's picking up. We need to come up with something else. And then that's when the idea for the portable cameras, that we can move around like chess pieces and drop them in different neighborhoods and move them and shift them again and shift them again when stuff is hot and shift them again. That's where that came from. Just like this. It's not going to fix it forever, because that's not the way crime and disorder works. But it's going to fix it for a time. It's going to change the game until something else happens and people adapt to the next thing. But this is going to create a generational cultural shift, just like cameras getting put in York High.
And
Some people said they feel like the city would be under siege with their privacy.
I totally understand that if it would have been the model that people asked for years, and I've never supported that. What I supported was 2 things. I don't want to control the cameras because it's too much power to give to law enforcement. And if you're going to do it, put the cameras everywhere. Not that nonsense of, oh, this is a high crime area, so we're putting cameras here, which then ends up being code for communities of color. No, if you're going to do it, put the cameras everywhere. And I don't want to be the one that's responsible for it, because can't nobody say that we misused, that law enforcement misused. It's the system that they're promoting is the extension of the old school neighborhood watch program, where citizens just like you are looking out for your brother. And when you see something that doesn't fit the norm of the society that you want to see in your own community, then you call it in. Otherwise, for us to access them, we have to request for them to do it based off of a request. And if it meets that burden of what the rules they set in place, then they'll give us access. But just like those cameras are going to watch the community, those cameras are going to watch me too. Because that's the thing that nobody ever talks about Lancaster's system. There have been officers in Lancaster that have gotten busted for misconduct off of the camera system.
And it can't go into your house.
It can't go into your house because they're literally the same system that they're looking at. The AI is set up that it blocks. It literally puts a red block over every residential window, so you can't see even if you wanted to. It's the common areas that you can't protect anyway because you legally don't have the right to in common areas. You don't. Anybody can take pictures of anybody they want to in common spaces. Period. And that's what it is. It's an extension of the neighborhood watch program. Nobody even cares to use it to catch people smoking weed. It's not what it's for.
All right, family. We time willing, another time, we definitely gotta do a part 2 of this.
Absolutely. Let's run this
if
back.
everyone is willing to come back, and
Sure thing.
I thank you for your time and your wisdom and your caring. Man, I think you said about how the guns being recorded is stolen, and people misusing their ability to buy guns and giving it to those that don't need to have it and underage. That was mind blowing. So thank you. We'll try to do this again in the near future if we can.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you
tuning
for
in
having
to the
us.
Hour of Power.
Thank you for having us.
Share this video.